What's good, you guys? It's Boomer and Jared watching Bali Star. Today, we's getting into How Instagram Changed Women Forever by the channel Moon. You feel me? Honestly, Instagram changed everybody forever. You know what I'm saying? Like, changed men and women forever. The way we view women, how they view men as time passed, and trends and culture revolved around social media and Instagram. It's like it really changed the way we look at stuff forever. Especially the way we see the what's going on in the world. Like it extends beyond how women see not only men but different things forever, but everybody. But let me not be a broken record. Let's get straight on into the video. Let's go.
If one trend of 2023 shows how far we've fallen, it was the Barbie Botox. Named after the toy's signature long neck, the procedure spread like wildfire on Instagram after the release of the film. A series of injections to the trapezius muscles in the neck renders them unable to contract, which lowers your shoulders and makes your neck look slightly longer. Despite the risk of muscle paralysis and severe pain, thousands of people rushed out to get this heart treatment. But this is a very recent phenomenon. No one did this in the past. No movie made people do this kind of thing. And that's when you realize that the Barbie Botox is just the tip of a massive iceberg, a trend that's hiding behind the surface. You see, the plastic surgery industry has been booming for years off the back of Instagram and TikTok. Invasive procedures go in and out of fashion every month, as a young impressionable audience goes from one insecurity to another, fed to them by Instagram's algorithm. Meanwhile, celebrities and influencers work hand in hand with the industry, making promotional posts and boasting about their procedures and the results. As new procedures dip in and out of fashion, influencers target people's mental weaknesses and make a fortune drumming up clients for the industry. And now that plastic surgery is growing fastest among young adults, looking to replicate the inhuman perfection they see on the app, it's time we really expose how Instagram is quite literally changing the face of the world. At the time of its founding, it would have been nearly impossible to predict the rise of Instagram into one of the biggest social media apps in the world. But looking back, it's easy to see that all the right ingredients were there for massive success. It would have been nearly impossible to predict the rise of Instagram into one of the biggest social media apps in the world. But looking back, it's easy to see that all the right ingredients were there for massive success. It all goes down to the founders Kevin Systrom and Mike Krieger. The pair originally met while studying at Stanford, and even before they had started their careers, they were being headhunted by the big names in tech. Kevin Systrom even turned down an internship at Facebook to spend time studying photography in Italy. Kevin would go on to intern at Odeo, a small app which would later become Twitter. And afterwards he would then get headhunted by Google and worked there for 2 years. But even after a short time in the industry, Kevin was frustrated. He had just been passed up for a promotion and was sick of the culture of the company, and went against all the original ideas of Silicon Valley. Kevin wanted to fully throw himself into a creative idea and exploit an opening in the market by building something of his own. Kevin knew his old college friend Mike was just as ambitious as he was, and so he thought he would explain his vision for a new app, something he would tell Forbes in an interview a few years later. Mike Krieger and I created Instagram because we wanted a way to communicate visually. We realized that we'd be taking all these photos with our iPhones that would sit on our camera roll, and it felt like they should be seen, not necessarily because they were good photos, but because a photo that no one sees isn't really that interesting. Every photo you take communicates something about a moment in time, a brief slice of time of where you were, who you were with, and what you were doing. And funnily enough, their idea would prove to be one of the most lucrative ideas of the 21st century. Kevin and Mike immediately got to work on Instagram, pouring everything they had into this new app, and in just 2 weeks, they had already secured $500,000 of funding from investors, and were starting to get it ready to launch to the public. But it still wasn't easy. It took the pair a year of work to get everything ready, but they still weren't prepared for what would happen next. Now, there was plenty of interest in the app, and they could tell this from the demos. And so as soon as
I remember when Instagram started, it did start off like, oh snap, like, yo, we could see other people's pictures and I think videos too. I think they incorporated videos. It's like I think a week later or so, but it was just tight. It was very much something new, and I mean, I sort of had an idea like, yo, like this is gonna blow up, but I didn't know for sure that it'd become part of the culture like that. But yeah, some like a little inner voice in me told me like, yo, yeah, this is gonna shape the whole culture of things, bro. Like if it lasts much longer than I think it would, then it's gonna shift the culture. And lo and behold,
The app. Within just the first week, Instagram had gained over 100,000 users in 2010. This
did
was the
start pretty
highest amount
wholesome.
of users gained for any single social media app in history. The service for the app and
From
the infrastructure
my
wasn't
viewpoint.
enough to keep up with the massive influx of users. The new company that barely had anyone working for it had already far exceeded expectations, and so they would have to invest tons back in just to keep the app functional, with back-end tweets and more processing power. And so the first year was just
And
a
you could
mad
explore
rush to keep
and
up with the
see
user base, with
who
Kevin
other
and Mike
people were
sacrificing everything
liking,
in their
like,
lives
you know,
to
what
keep it afloat.
people
Just when
you
they
know
thought
were
they'd
liking
gotten
other
to the
people's
growth, there would be
photos,
more
and
crashes,
oh
more
man,
problems to deal
when they
with.
took that out, I remember people were furious, dog. You know what I'm saying? Like when you can see, like your significant other and whose photos they were liking. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, it'll be in the new way to get caught up, or catching people. You feel me?
As time went on, and they streamlined the process, their hard work was really rewarded. You see, investors saw this, and knew they had to get a piece of the pie. In less than 2 months after its launch, the app already hit 1 million users, and Instagram was injected with $7 million of investor funding, particularly through System Silicon Valley connections. And users just loved how you could make your photos look so much better than other apps like Facebook. And the key here was filters. Brought in relatively early on to make up for the poor quality of smartphone cameras at the time, the introduction of various photo filters would prove revolutionary. With the touch of a button, users could iron out their wrinkles, cover up any blemishes, and transform their mundane experiences into picturesque moments. What was meant as a simple fix for the lacking technology of the time took on a life of its own. Filters gave Instagram an air of perfection and artistic expression that transcended the dull, boring photos relatives were posting on Facebook at the time. Although Kevin and Mike could never have foresaw what they had really created and how this would be used in the future. But at the same time that Kevin and Mike were building the photo app of the future, something else was going on. Other people were laying the groundwork for an entirely different way to push past the limits of natural beauty. Now, if you're going to blame anyone for the massive rise in plastic surgery, then you'd have to talk about people like the Kardashians. They were unique among celebrities at the time because they truly offered nothing except for their image and their lifestyle. Coming to fame in 2007 after her viral sex tape, Kim and the gang went on to hold their 15 minutes of fame and stretched it out over multiple decades. Kim and her family's signature look exploded onto modern culture.
Love, hate the Kardashians all you want. You have to admit that is game changing. It's one of the most game changing things in current human culture. How the heck do you stretch out like just a minor sex tape? Nobody knows who you are. Everybody knows who Ray J more. Who Ray J is more than you. And you stretch it out to decades of fame, bro. Like, jeez.
It still has an effect on beauty standards today. The modern world's obsession with full lips, big busts, and stenciled eyebrows is in large part thanks to them. Of course, the image they sold to the world so easily didn't really bear any relation to reality. First, as you can probably guess, there's all the cosmetic surgeries and procedures they've gone through to get there. Then countless layers of
crazy.
makeup.
Paris Hilton might have peaked during the Instagram time, man. It might have been her. Honestly, still could have turned out to be the Kardashians or so, because I remember Kim was just like, she was just the assistant, I think, to Paris Hilton. No, she was just like I remember this vividly. She was just the best friend that nobody knew. Nobody even cared about, bro. People would push her aside just to get more photos of Paris Hilton, bro. People were more on Nicole Richie along with Paris Hilton because of their show back in the time. You know what I'm saying? Just push Kim to the side. It's crazy how that switch happened, bro.
Professional photography and Photoshop were added on, and out of thousands of those photos, only a select few were chosen to be shown to the public. Before the rise of social media, this kind of deception was only available to the rich and famous. Even their own influence alone has a huge effect on the cosmetic surgery industry. When a 17-year-old Kylie Jenner boasted of getting lip fillers to achieve her signature look, online searches for the procedure went up by over 3,000%. The so-called Brazilian butt lift procedures have only grown in popularity thanks to Kim and her family. The procedure involves a surgeon taking fat deposits from elsewhere on the body and then transferring them to the buttocks. Between 2000 and 2018, the amount of butler procedures has risen by over 250%.
Episode about that.
Over time, though, the procedures fades away and the results disappear, so regular
Pretty sure
procedures
South Park
are
and
required
Simpsons
to
too,
keep it
though.
up. Even the Kardashians themselves regretted the procedure in the end, with Kim recently admitting that she'd stopped having her top-ups. The procedure is massively popular, but also incredibly risky compared to other cosmetic surgery. When it goes wrong, people
Especially
can
when
get
you go to a
nasty
surgeon
infections and
in the
sometimes
Dominican
require
Republic
surgery to remove the
or
implants.
Cuba or some
if the
shit.
fat gets into the bloodstream, it can actually cause embolisms and blockages to vital organs. 1 in every 4,000 people die as a result of the complications, which is what led to the UK banning it in 2018. Eventually, they reversed the decision in 2022 after bringing in new safety regulations, but there's still a whole world of unlicensed practitioners performing a different version of the procedure. While they're not allowed to perform the surgical version with the potentially fatal side effects, they're still allowed to blindly inject people with artificial substances. It's not like the UK's ban really did anything anyway. The people who were determined enough to get it done were freely able to just go abroad to places like Turkey or Mexico, where the procedure is completely legal, and often mostly unregulated and far cheaper. Even today, there's countless adverts for this all over Facebook and Instagram. But nothing has promoted plastic surgery and made the world more plastic and fake than it's ever been, like Instagram. The Kardashians might have remained in the background for most people, ending up as has-been stars like so many before them. But instead, they're a recipe for success based on their looks and
Bro, that's
superstars
crazy.
like so many.
They're almost like twins back then, and it's like now it's crazy.
But instead, their recipe for success based on their looks and their status alone was about to go global. And that was all thanks to Instagram. But how did an innocent photo sharing website become the money-making machine it is today? The answer is Mark Zuckerberg. You see, Zuck's vision for a social media business was a lot different compared to Kevin Systrom or Mike Krieger. Well,
why are his pupils so big?
Business.
Yeah, damn, son, man.
A lot different compared to Kevin Systrom or Mike Krieger. While they were thinking about how to make money from people's photos, Mark was interested in commodifying the people instead. Even before Mark
some of his pupils
already
in some other
demonstrated his true
videos
feelings towards his users. While he's rejected that the film The Social Network was true in his account of his website FaceMash.
Right, like, they just can't wrap their head around the idea that someone might build something because they like building things.
The evidence shows that it wasn't that far off. Articles from Harvard newspapers show how he plundered Harvard.
What'd that say?
It wasn't that
Who's hotter? Of course, Chicken the Black.
far off. Articles from Harvard newspapers show how he plundered Harvard's registers for pictures of people's faces. He then used these to create a website where people could rank each other on attractiveness, while the backend secretly assigned them their own rating out of 10. While it was quickly shut down, the stunt informed the future development of Facebook to a massive degree. Facebook did the same thing, turning its users into the product, just in a more sinister way. It was all about maximizing engagement for users, whilst plundering all the possible data they could find. And then selling this to advertisers and giving them easy targets for their campaigns was the final step in the profit machine. Whilst these weren't new ideas, Zuckerberg perfected them at Facebook. A combination of aggressive data hoarding and addictive design practices turned Facebook into one of the biggest companies in the planet, almost overnight. But already by the early 2010s, Zuckerberg knew deep down.
I remember when he made Facebook into a college-only website, bro. Like, only college kids and I think older could only get into it, bro. I wasn't mad or furious or pissed. Not that pissed. Because I was like, okay, whatever. Because I think we still had MySpace, you know? But once Facebook opened up its floodgates, bro, all did the waves come crashing in, man. Me included. I was like, oh, it's all, yeah, make a Facebook, all that, son. You feel me? Like, I don't know what the hype was about it either, bro. Maybe it was just the exclusivity that it was just meant for college kids or older. You know what I'm saying? Maybe just for college kids. But I think it was just that exclusivity that made me want to say, let me in! Let me in!
Facebook would be on the way out at the end of the decade, as he was failing to capture the next generation and was losing out to younger, more organic apps like Instagram. Meanwhile, things weren't amazing at Instagram either. Sure, growth was solid and the business was doing well, but after 2 years of grinding away, Kevin and Mike were sick of doing it alone. Now, they had built up a team by this point, but it was always an uphill struggle to keep up with the growth of the app. Some sort of merger or acquisition would put an end to these troubles and would give them all the investments they needed, with the added bonus of the infrastructure to push Instagram to the next level. So after turning down a few other suitors, Kevin and Mike sold the company almost entirely to Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook in 2012.
Americans share photos on Instagram. A company with only 13 employees bought today by Facebook for $1 billion.
At first it seemed like they made the right choice. Kevin and Mike were still semi-independent, and they were free to grow the app however they wanted. And through the intelligent use of their new resources, Instagram had exploded in popularity. Within a year they hit 50 million users, then 100 million a few months afterwards. But this all came at a cost, because it wasn't long before Mark came in to slowly force the founders out, along with their original principles, allowing Facebook to make changes to the app and its business model forever. In 2014, Facebook pushed for changes to the data hoarding practices, making the app use Facebook's invasive tactics. A year later, they gave advertisers far more power on the app, letting them run 30-second adverts and buying products directly through the app. Compromising your personal information and data security with the new hands of Mark Zuckerberg, notorious for exploiting all of your information and using it against you. That's why while you're exploring services like Instagram, every sign-up or interaction might expose you to potential spam, scams, or identity theft. But imagine navigating these apps like Instagram with complete control of your personal information, never having to compromise your privacy for the sake of convenience. Well, this is where our video sponsor Cloak steps in. You see, Cloak users advanced tech without ever having to win identity theft.
I swear, you just know when something goes into an ad.
Scam over Instagram were far more subtle. In 2014, Instagram added a whole suite of different editing tools. The app went from a place to post filtered pictures of your real life into a showroom for the best looking photos of yourself that you could possibly create. By 2016, they made it so algorithms would decide what photos the app would show you. Instead of giving you a timeline of the photos that your friends had posted, Instagram would only show what it thought you would engage with the most, laying the groundwork for the addictive design that Facebook had already mastered. When Facebook began pushing for location tracking, it was the final straw for Kevin and Mike. They hated the direction the app was taking. They saw that Zuckerberg was using their app as a machine that turned people's addictions into a weapon against humanity. They thought that Zuck's push for maximum engagement would lead to some of the worst problems that we see today in society. The environment on Instagram was now constant competition to get the most followers and the most likes on your photos, always having to look the best you possibly could for the algorithm, with the aid of Instagram's inbuilt Photoshop. Unlike the founders, Zuckerberg didn't care at all that the problems on the app would soon spill over into society. As long as it kept making him billions, it didn't matter. Eventually in late 2018, Kevin and Mike gave up fighting against the tide and just decided to leave the company entirely, leaving Mark Zuckerberg free to fully realize his plans for Instagram, and this has had an awful effect on society ever since. You see, plastic surgery was still a niche industry up until this point. It was only reserved for medical purposes, Hollywood actors and trophy wives. It wasn't nearly as common as it was today, but all of this changed with the arrival of Instagram in the early 2010s. Almost overnight, we saw a rapid transformation in how people presented themselves online, and the images of people we see. Now, we've already discussed what the Kardashians and other celebrities would do to get the perfect picture. After the surgeries, camera angles, and airbrushing, the final image is barely recognizable as the person it depicts. Instagram puts this power into the hands of the people. With the high-powered camera in people's pockets, they could take what would have been a normal photo, add a filter and some Photoshop to it, and create a vision of perfection. All the little flaws and blemishes that make people human got ironed out. Now nearly anyone could achieve the level of unrealistic perfection that graced magazine covers for years. On its own, this would have been troubling. For decades, people worried about the negative effect on people's self-esteem and self-image that beauty magazines and Hollywood had. But Instagram took this to the next level, 100 timesing this problem by turning it into a global competition with millions of fans and billions of dollars on the line for the winners. So of course, it wasn't long before people realized that to win this game, you had to go as far as possible. For the Instagram algorithm to bless you, you had to do whatever it took. The more focused on your image you were, the more money and popularity you could get as an influencer, constantly being dangled over you, your feed showing you all these people sucked into the same Instagram algorithm, tapping into all your primal needs, playing into men's sexual urges, and for everybody's desire for fame and attention. It became about selling the illusion of perfection. For a successful influencer, every photo pushed this narrative a bit further forward. They showcased their perfect bodies, their perfect lives, relaxing by pools, in million-dollar yachts, penthouses across the world, smiling with their equally perfect friends. It didn't matter that none of this was actually real, and that it was all a fantasy. I mean, strip away the filters and the staged moments, and you'd just be left with a sad picture of self-obsession and insecurity. Living this way and focusing your whole life on your image is a terrible recipe for disaster. You would expect models, the people who are selected by society as the best looking people in the world, to have the least problems with critiquing their own appearance. But in fact, it's the opposite. Over 40% struggle with body dysmorphia and disordered eating. But this was just for models. This used to just be for these kinds of people, whose entire livelihoods depended on their image. But in the last few years, Instagram has globalized this toxic mindset because of the results of its grand competition for visual perfection. All of the perfect illusions posted by influencers online were eaten up by the hundreds of millions of users Instagram gained in just a few short years. Some parts of Instagram culture, like using filters and photoshopping your selfies, entered the mainstream and affected the rest of the internet. It all had the effect of making everyone subconsciously disappointed with their own comparatively boring lives. If you weren't part of the influencer elite, then your life looked worse than the ones you'd see online every single day. And if you didn't have the flawless figure and perfect face like the influencers, then you just weren't good enough to join the club. The algorithm wouldn't bless you. You'd just be left in the bottom of the barrel, constantly refreshing the likes to see if anyone would give you more attention. And over time, this has led to a huge rise in insecurity, mental illnesses, and body dysmorphia amongst
Female embodiment of a boys'
All of the
club.
perfection made people think that the natural imperfections that everyone else has was something to be ashamed of. Inevitably, influencers were ready to swoop in and sell solutions to the problem they had made worse, most of them promoting harmless temporary fixes like their own cosmetic brands and makeup. The Kardashians would gain hundreds of millions of followers on Instagram, and then promote their makeup lines, making billions in the process. But for some of these Instagram-fueled insecurities, there was only one way to really change it. If you wanted a bigger butt like the models on Instagram, a slimmer waistline, bigger boobs, or for guys a better jawline, a better face, plastic surgery was the easiest and quickest option. It didn't matter that it was fake. If it worked for other people, it would work for you too. The whole insecurity was built on fake image to begin with. And so Instagram has duped tens of millions, even hundreds of millions of people into thinking they had a real problem, and that the only way to fix this problem would be through medical procedures. If you could just save up enough money, maybe you could look like your idol. Maybe then you could get enough likes and attention to finally feel worthy. Little do people realize it's an endless problem that you'll never be happy with. Of course, plastic surgery won't fix your insecurities. After one procedure is over, something else pops up that needs to be fixed. Realistically, even if you don't mind plastic surgery, it's still better in moderation. A few touch-ups could be seen as a positive thing if it doesn't lead to more insecurity, but the beauty standards that Instagram was pushing didn't push people towards moderation. Instead, they made everyone else want to look the same. And the more of your friends that got plastic surgery, the more of your idols that got surgery, the bigger the desire you'd have yourself for getting surgery. People call it the Instagram face, characterized by perfect skin, luscious and full lips, sharp cheekbones, and long eyelashes.
And maybe, I say big maybe to most, it's just addicting. Because I remember seeing some episodes of shows of girls that are just like, that just want to get plastic surgery just because it's super addicting. Like getting tattoos or something, you feel me? And I remember watching this one episode, this girl who just wanted to look like a complete Barbie doll. So like most of her body was fabricated. You know what I'm saying? To look like that of a Barbie doll, bro. It's disgusting. It was.
It's become what millions of young women around the world dream of having. Of course, it's only possible with surgery, Botox, and Photoshop, and the world will move on to a different beauty standard before long. But this hasn't stopped people from trying to achieve this illusion. It's especially noticeable in celebrities, and promoted everywhere on Instagram's algorithm. Whether or not plastic surgery is involved, tons of models, singers, and movie stars have slowly changed their image to match the Instagram templates. Ariana Grande is a good example. You can see the progression towards the Instagram singularity over time with this picture. Notice how her eyes have gone stretched out, her nose has changed, and her lips have gotten fuller. She's also lost an unhealthy amount of weight, which is a huge problem when it isn't healthy. Obviously, people can look whatever way they want to look, but there's something really sad about all of these young people getting duped into thinking their natural beauty isn't good enough. The modern standard.
And I don't mean older just because, you know, she's getting older in terms of age. I mean, she physically, you know what I'm saying? But hey.
Young people getting duped into thinking their natural beauty isn't good enough. The modern standards that Instagram and its whole culture have imposed on people drives them to do this to themselves. Of course, that's not the only soul-destroying app that pushes people towards cosmetic surgery. Improving your performance on dating apps are also some of the top reasons people go under the knife. The most popular dating apps focus the courtship process almost purely on what people look like. People look at your picture for a second or two, then make a split-second decision on whether you meet their standards. You can easily see why plastic surgery would give you an advantage for this. Filters and editing helps, but it's too obvious if it's done poorly.
I mean, is a girl really gonna look at a man and see if he looks that physically attractive? Okay, mostly yes, but it's like, I don't know, man. If women are gonna be can tell if a dude has had plastic surgery just to look that attractive. You know what I'm saying? Nor would they really care. You know, it's like, I don't know what women think, honestly.
Artificial face underneath all of that.
Women, any women that watch this video, let me know down in the comments, man. Do y'all really look for plastic surgery on a dude, or it's like, does he look physically attractive enough to where he's like, oh, I think you have or does that even occur in your mind if a dude, like, guys with plastic surgery, do they ever occur in your mind when you look at a certain guy that, like, you know, looks like a Chad or something, like, or some type ish? I don't think know.
Much more effective. Lots of the procedures that give you an Instagram face also work especially well with filters and airbrushing. So much so that some people design their own faces to look especially good in their online photos, whilst losing something when you actually look at them. While you may think the Instagram face looks good on Instagram itself, next to a group of normal people in real life, it just looks kind of strange and alien. One thing about all the ways Instagram has led to the rise in plastic surgery is that it doesn't discriminate by age. In fact, young people and even teenagers are much more susceptible to the coordinated attack on the self-image that Instagram delivers. While the Instagram face doesn't really bear any relation to people's natural faces, it is similar to someone who's in the early to late 20s. All the teenagers browsing Instagram and wishing they looked that good attempted to get procedures that made them look older rather than younger. This is the reason why plastic surgery and cosmetic procedures are growing fastest amongst people under 30, and even faster in teenagers. Some of these procedures are what's called preventative plastic surgery. People are getting Botox and other things done in order to prevent future wrinkles, not just fatten the ones already there. I mean, it's truly insane that people are trying to fix a false problem that hasn't even happened yet because of one app. Another far more disturbing procedure is buccal fat removal. It's been all the rage on Instagram for quite a while now, because it matches the current beauty standards online. Even if you don't know what it really is, you'll recognize the effects. In the procedure, a surgeon makes cuts inside the mouth and removes what's called the buccal fat pad, which rests under the cheekbones. The result is far more prominent cheekbones and that sunken, hollow look that's all the rage right now. It makes you look far older and your face look thinner, but it's not without giant risks. The procedure itself can be painful and dangerous, but as people get older, their faces naturally get thinner and the natural layer of fat on your face gets less prominent. It's an irreversible procedure. All of the people getting it might regret it in 10 years down the line, unless they were going for that skeletal look in the first place. If we want to look at where we might be in the future with the rise of cosmetic surgery, we only need to turn to South Korea. The country is in the future of plastic surgery. A third of Korean women aged 19 to 29 have undergone enough, and the numbers just keep on rising, especially amongst young people. 60% of South Korean high school students want to get surgery in the future. There's even stories of young people winning plastic surgery vouchers from their schools to help with their future careers. So what's going on here? And is this a warning for the future of the West? Well, one theory is that it's all part of a push towards stricter conformity and a move away from individualism. In a culture where your social standing and reputation are highly valued, losing boy bandish looking dudes, breaking cultural norms, all that type shit, bro. From what's expected of you can damage both you and your family's reputation. With so much value put on that by everyone else, people who break away get ostracized and excluded from society. One of the many problems that this can cause has come about with modern society's focus on looks and aesthetics, both in the West and in South Korea. While we might have Instagram face, it's a relatively new development compared to South Korea's rigid beauty standards. The same facial features are valued above all others, plastered on every billboard, commercial, TV show, and music video. Conforming to this standard has become the same as any other social rule or cultural pressure. It becomes almost rude to assault other people's eyes with your appearance if it doesn't match the cultural mold. Your face and how you look get wrapped up into the idea of success and happiness pushed by the rest of the culture. No wonder plastic surgery is so popular. It's become the difference between getting that promotion you've been working towards and missing out. The same thing that's happened in South Korea has also come to China as well. The industry is booming there now. The amount of people getting surgery increased by 600% between 2009 and 2018. This huge demand has led to a sharp spike in unlicensed and dangerous plastic surgery that's led to some truly horrifying results. And what you are seeing here right now is the work of a mysterious figure known online as Dr. Kim. He came to prominence on TikTok after these videos showing his patients' uncanny transformations went viral. They're clear examples of what can go horribly wrong with plastic surgery. The facelifts are so tight it looks completely unnatural, and people are paying a fortune for this. Their natural beauty has vanished under an artificial glaze, and you're left wondering whether they can even smile or frown at you.
Oh, God!
Through the lens of
it's Frankenstein!
Pressure to look young and attractive is so high that people are led to these extremes and are willing to do anything to achieve that sense of perfection. even going to unlicensed butchers like Dr. Kim. The tough series investigating these images has led to some really dark stories, as it appears that Dr. Kim is not one person but a pseudonym used by a shady unlicensed plastic surgery company called Shanghai Huzhong Medical Beauty Clinic. And from the evidence he gathered, they've been accused of using expired drugs, have been sued by multiple people and companies, and they've even trafficked counterfeited drugs to use in their practice. Whilst these pictures definitely aren't indicative of China's entire beauty industry, they do show where criminals can turn a profit from exploiting it. All the normal, even handsome people you see in the before pictures weren't happy with how they looked because their culture made them insecure. It opened the door to criminals looking to make an easy buck, with no regard for what their victims will have to live with for the rest of their lives. And it seems like the West is moving further towards this point of cultural conformity with the help of Instagram.
I like the reality one
biggest
better.
West is
I
moving
like the reality one better, definitely.
further towards this point of cultural conformity with the help of Instagram, the biggest promoter of these artificial beauty standards. Sure, there's more virtue signaling than ever. Everyday corporate media outlets tell people that differences are good and that we should love our own features and characteristics, whatever they might be. But at the same time, it does seem like we're going in the opposite direction. The pressures to have a perfect body and face is so high. Nearly everyone on TV and in films looks pretty much the same, all completely plastic, fake, and hollow. It doesn't matter what the context is in Hollywood now. If your shirt comes off in a movie, you need a six-pack and you need to be on steroids. And then also lie about it. The dating world is by far the best indicator for how selective people's beauty standards have become. With modern dating apps and our image-focused culture, your face needs to pass the swipe test before you can even play the game. More and more men and women get pushed out of the system, rejected because they no longer conform well enough to the modern Instagram face beauty standard and its male counterpart. And so much exposure to inhuman perfection on Instagram has warped people's standards and made a whole generation of lonely outcasts. There's even people talking about an incel revolution nowadays, as more and more people get pushed to the sidelines without any romantic interests, while at the same time, another huge section of people are becoming literally plastic. That's why you should never expose yourself to the toxic sludge that Instagram promotes, as every time you go on the app, you're subtly, subconsciously becoming more and more insecure. Disconnecting from Instagram's twisted beauty standards means that you can actually truly appreciate people that the rest of the world might not even see.
Yeah, not only that, man. I'm full of weirdos. I swear, man, I don't post none about my personal life. You know what I'm saying? If it isn't on my original IG, you know what I'm saying? And even on there, like, I don't post mostly anything, you know what I'm saying? Sure, I might give, like, you know, an IG story 5 hours, not even a complete 24 hours, you know, for a lot of people to see, just because it's like, you know, okay, I might post something personal on there, and it's like, I'm just going to leave this up for just, like, 2 hours or so, you know what I'm saying? Or, like, just until I don't feel like it anymore, because, like, you know, my mind clicks, like, do I really want, you know what I'm saying, like, people that watch or the people that I want to have watch it, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't just let everybody watch it, watch my Instagram stories. And, like, you know, as for, like, you know, my IG, it's like, I don't post nothing personal up on there, you know what I'm saying? I don't post who I'm with, mostly, is what I'm talking about, you know, because, like, dudes, and, like, even though I'm not out to the public like that, you know what I'm saying, talking about, like, you know, my own IG, you know, outside of Bali Star and all that, you know what I'm saying, it's like it's not public, so, because it's like, you know, people get access into, you know, what I'm doing and stuff, you know, who I'm with and all that stuff, and they see who I'm with. You know, you're gonna have the dudes out, like, bro, this happened multiple times, multiple stories, man. I told this on, like, multiple videos. Like, dudes gonna try and holler at, you know, the chick that you're with. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know why, but they just do. People are weird. People are just weird. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, that's just the way it be with guys. With guys, if I post who I'm with or something, you know what I'm saying? And it happens more with guys than it does with women. I'm not saying that, like, it doesn't happen with women too, but mostly dudes. You know what I'm saying? Like, we gonna always be on the hunt, be on the prowl, and you know what I'm saying? It's crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, bro, like, and it's crazy because we went through a whole transition with Instagram, you know, with females, speaking for the females, Not that I really know what female thinks, you know what I'm saying? So take what I say with a grain of salt. But it's like going through watching the Kardashians and, you know what I'm saying, Instagram just like modifying itself towards like now turned into a whole competition about like who wants to look better, and then altering yourself, and then, you know, years later you see that like, you know, you don't like the way you altered yourself, but you may do this just, you know, just because you were insecure of not looking this way. And it's like, you know, we're really transitioning from seeing the effects of how social media and how these people that are models, actresses, even actors are making us feel. And it's like, yo, they're really the modified ones. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, they're really effing us up. We're really starting to see that now. And especially now, like how you just see me call out the girl who was like reality and Instagram perception. You know what I'm saying? Like, I pointed out reality because she looked way better in reality. Oh my god! Like, you know, we're starting to see things that way now. It's like we're like the Instagram perception has been thrown in. It's been thrown in our face so much. We now pine for the reality, or maybe that's just me. Y'all let me know down in the comment section down below, man. Y'all know it's Boomer and Jared watching Bali Star. Make sure to leave a like, spoil the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new, so that we join up with the Bomb Squad. I'll catch y'all in the next one. 100. Ooh!
Yeah, yeah, yeah.